Senate Majority Mitch McConnell was not among the 7 Senate Republicans who voted to convict Donald Trump in the Senate impeachment trial. However, after he voted to acquit Donald Trump in the Senate impeachment trial, he gave a fiery speech saying that Trump was definitely responsible for what transpired on January 6th when rioters breached the building and caused all sorts of damage. Several people died. Weird. Now let's hear what else he had to say.
Fellow Americans beat and bloodied our own police. They stormed the Senate floor. They tried to hunt down the Speaker of the House. They built a gallows and chanted about murdering the Vice President. They did this because they'd been fed wild falsehoods by the most powerful man on earth. Because he was angry, he lost an election. There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. This was an intensifying crescendo of conspiracy theories orchestrated by an outgoing president who seemed determined to either overturn the voters' decision or else torch our institutions on the way out. 74 million Americans did not engineer the campaign of disinformation and rage that provoked it. One person did, just one.
So given what McConnell is saying in that speech, why did he vote to acquit Donald Trump, especially since he finds Trump accountable or responsible for what happened on January 6th? Well, he claims that he just believes that you can't impeach or find guilty through this impeachment trial a president who's no longer a sitting president, someone who's now out of office. So what he's trying to do here is have his cake and eat it too, because the Senate trial could have happened when Trump was still in office, but it was Mitch McConnell who chose to delay. As the New York Times reports, McConnell refused to call the Senate back to hear the case while Trump was still president, except to say that he had been right to, quote, not entertain some light speed sham process to try to overturn the loss of jurisdiction. McConnell said the only way to punish him now, by the way, is through the criminal justice system. Trump, he said, didn't get away with anything yet. No, you guys acquitted him. You voted to acquit him, and then you gave that ridiculous speech.
Okay, so that was McConnell's concession speech, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a second. But first, I want to dispense with his excuse. And this whole thing of like, oh, the Republican senators think it's unconstitutional. Nonsense. Please stop entertaining ridiculous lies. So under their theory of constitutionality, Joe Biden could literally shoot one of them in the head on January 19th, 2024. And then they said, well, we have to acquit. He's no longer in office. By the time we get to impeachment and conviction, it's past January 20th, so he's free to go. Does anybody think that Joe Biden would be allowed to do that? Of course not. Now, luckily, Biden isn't going to do that. But by the way, Trump did. Trump tried to get them killed. He knew that they were under mortal threat. He knew that people were attacking them violently. And he encouraged it afterwards in the middle of the riots. And now they just said, oh yeah, that's all totally okay. You can, not only can you attempt to murder people, you can attempt to murder us as long as you do it at the end of your term. And then holding you accountable will be unconstitutional. No one believes that's true. By the way, former officials have been convicted after they left office. Of course, otherwise they could just resign and never have any accountability. Because hey, technically I'm out of office, right? So no, that's just total nonsense. Yet the whole country had a nonsense debate. Oh, I don't know, maybe not, 50-50. Oh, yeah. All right, now on to the main event. The reason why I say that was a concession speech is because Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump just had a fight over who was going to lead the Republican Party, and Donald Trump won. So he won so thoroughly, Mitch McConnell, who wanted to convict, couldn't do it and had to bow his head. So in frustration, and as an ode to half of his donors who were really upset at Trump, he had to do that speech to say, now, tisk, tisk, tisk. Even though McConnell was the single most important person who determined that Trump would not be held accountable. If he had broken and said, I am going to vote to convict, he would have brought many other Republican senators with him. He chose not to do that. Now, why? Why? This is not discussed in the press. The reality is McConnell's a very savvy politician. He's a rare person in DC who is not an idiot. So he clearly went to his caucus and he asked, which way are you gonna vote? And he realized he does not have enough support to defeat Trump. Why? Every poll out, and I told you this with the first time a poll came out and it's had 80% of Republicans backing Donald Trump, I said this case is over. They're never gonna convict him because Republican senators are gonna get afraid of their own voters. And that's what McConnell saw. He wanted to convict. He's super mad at Trump. Some of his donors are super mad at Trump. So he goes and asks, and everybody goes, I'm not gonna convict. A huge majority of Republicans not only like Donald Trump before, they love him after. They didn't have any problem with the Capitol attack. Our own voters, the Republican voters, liked that we were attacked. And so McConnell saw the handwriting on the wall. Now, I actually think this is a rare instance where his political calculation was wrong. He should have finished Trump no matter what the cost was. But he thought, if I vote against him, I'm not gonna have enough votes anyway, and then they'll strip me of my leadership. Mitch, I got news for you. They're gonna strip you of your leadership eventually anyway. Right now, believe it or not, my thesis is that they're grooming Lindsey Graham to be the new leader of the Republicans in the Senate, because he is the furthest up Donald Trump's ass. So since he's the biggest Trump loyalist, he represents the caucus. Mitch McConnell now is verboten. He did a speech and they didn't like it. And in a battle between half the Republican donors, and this was super important, I told you this on the day that it happened too. And Nikki Haley indicated half of the other donors, Republican donors, are with Trump. And at least 3/4 and up to 90% of Republican voters still backing Donald Trump. Well, who's gonna win that? Half the donors and 3/4 of the voters are of course gonna win. So Trump won, it's his party. They will never be able to get it under control again. And I now think that the handwriting's on the wall for Mitch McConnell and his leadership. And soon they'll get rid of him too. This was the biggest political mistake of his life.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.